So there are two kinds of accounting that people use. One is cash-based accounting and the other is accrual-based accounting. So cash-based accounting works like whenever you do a transaction, you would record that event or that transaction as soon as money is exchanged. Whereas accrual-based accounting is based on when the transaction is performed, not when you receive cash. So companies do this because they would like to keep better track of the transactions that are happening, because if you don't exchange with cash, it can be hard to keep track of what stuff is owed and what things you owe people. So we'll start off with an example of using accrual-based accounting so it's better and easier to understand. So let's say I want to get something done on my front yard, like have my front steps redone with stone. So I would hire somebody to come over and get the steps done in stone. And let's say I can't pay them until the end of the month, but they say that they'll do it on the 15th of the month. So if they're using accrual-based accounting, then both him and I would put in our accounts as soon as the transaction as far as the services are done on the 15th, then we would both put that on our accounts as services that are not yet paid for on his end, and services that accounts payable that I owe him for services that he has done. So we record that on the 15th, and then as soon as we receive our cash, then we would be able to close out the account and accurately keep track of what's been going on in that account. Now, if you didn't have that, if you started to use the cash basis of accounting, it would be much easier to forget what exactly people owe you for or who owes you what, because instead of being able to receive the money immediately, you have to wait an additional X amount of days where you may not even have the exact numbers or information that could have easily been lost. So to put that in very simple terms, it's basically the reason that accrual-based accounting was invented was because companies were having problems keeping track of larger and larger accounts that were getting more and more complicated, and they weren't exchanging any cash. So when they went to go receive payment or make a payment 3 months later, when they actually had the money, it was basically impossible to figure out exactly what it was or what they owed or something to that effect. So accrual basis accounting solves all those problems by allowing people to be able to keep track of their problems and their situations as far as transactions from start to finish, keeping detailed notes. That way you understand exactly what you owe for somebody and when that transaction was done. So we can do another quick example we'll use with a pen just to make it a lot more simple. So let's just say that I tell you I'm going to give you this pen right now, but you're going to owe me at the end of the month. So if I give you this pen and I don't write anything down and you don't pay me, but I still lose my pen, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to remember exactly what you owe me for and exactly how much you owe me for on my pen. Whereas if I was using accrual-based accounting and I kept track of everything, kept track that I owe you, that I gave you this pen on this day of this month for this much, then it's going to be much easier for me to go back in time and realize that, wow, you owe me X amount for this pen that you sold on this day, that I sold you on this day. So basically, accrual-based accounting is a much more easier and much more simple, if you can think of it that way of keeping track of all of your accounts, because obviously, like I've stated over the course of the video, that you are able to keep track more accurately of what's owed to you and what for, rather than cash basis accounting, which again is based on when you receive the money, not when the transaction or the services are done or accounted for, such as accrual-based accounting. So, in conclusion, the reason why, if you haven't already put it together, the reason why accrual-based accounting is used for a lot of companies is obviously, like I stated earlier, just so you're able to keep track of all of your different accounts from start to finish, and you're able to not lose track of money that you owe somebody or money that somebody owes to you, because that would obviously be the end of your company if you're unable to keep track of your accounts. Thank you.